Hi everyone, it's me Oля here. Welcome to my channel. In this video we are going to talk about dative case in Ukrainian. However, if you want to learn how a Ukrainian noun changes in dative case, what endings it takes, I recommend that you watch this video and then come back. Because in this one we are going to focus more on usage of dative case, and we will try to take a look at as many possible sentences, as many possible examples as we can for one video, okay? But before we start learning, I wanted to quickly remind you that if you want and if you haven't yet, then you can follow my page on Facebook. It is called Let's Learn Ukrainian, or any of my accounts on Instagram or TikTok, also at Let's Learn Ukrainian. Also, if you enjoy my content and would like to support my channel on Patreon, you can do that. I will leave all the links down below so that you can easily find them. Also on my Patreon you can download the notes to every video that I'm posting. So if you are interested in that, check it out. And now we can finally start learning. So dative case. Dative case in Ukrainian is давальний відмінок. Давальний відмінок. So in itself, the name is carrying a clue for us. So давальний comes from Ukrainian verb давати. Давати. And давати means to give. And we can consider it a clue for the questions that dative case responds to. And those are кому, чому. Кому, чому. Кому means to whom, okay? So to give to whom. Давати кому, okay? Dative case. Кому means to whom. And чому, the second question, is to what, okay? To give to what. Давати чому. So now let us figure out when and where in Ukrainian we use dative case. First of all, some of Ukrainian verbs. Yes, in Ukrainian we have verbs that require that their indirect object goes in dative case. Those again are our verbs of giving something to someone, right? Давальний відмінок, давати, to give, and the verbs of giving. Here is another clue. So what kind of verbs we have here? Давати, to give, obviously, давати. Дарувати, to gift somebody with something. Дарувати, to help, also sort of to give a hand somebody with something. Допомагати, допомагати, to help. Позичати, позичати, to lend. Приносити, приносити, to bring or to fetch. Пропонувати, пропонувати, to suggest. Купити, купити, to buy. Передавати, to pass something to somebody. For instance, вона дала дівчатам води. Вона дала дівчатам води. She gave some water to girls. Okay? Вона дала води кому? She gave water to whom? To girls. Дівчатам. The noun дівчата becomes дівчатам because it requires dative case. Вони запропонували друзям подивитися фільм. Вони запропонували друзям подивитися фільм. They suggested to their friends to watch a movie. Вони запропонували кому? Запропонували друзям. Друзям in dative case, because here it is our indirect object. To suggest to whom, right? To suggest what is direct object, but to suggest to whom is our indirect object, dative case. Запропонували друзям. Мама допомогла дітям з домашнім завданням. Мама допомогла дітям з домашнім завданням. Mother helped children with their homework, okay? Допомогла кому? She helped whom? She helped to whom? To her children with the homework. Допомогла кому? Допомогла дітям. Дітям in dative case because indirect object. Я позичу сусідці трохи цукру. Я позичу сусідці трохи цукру. I will lend some sugar to my neighbor. Я позичу сусідці трохи цукру. Позичу кому? I will lend this sugar to whom? To my neighbor. Сусідці. Dative case. Він подарував дівчатам квіти. Він подарував дівчатам квіти. He gifted flowers to girls. Він подарував кому? Подарував дівчатам. Окей? He gifted to whom? To girls. Дівчатам in dative case. Again, don't mix up direct and indirect object. He gave what? Flowers, direct object, but he gave flowers to whom? Indirect object, dative case. Дівчатам. To the girls. Also, not all of these verbs will necessarily have to do with giving. We have in Ukrainian a lot of other verbs that require that their indirect object is in dative case. For instance, пояснювати, to explain, also in a way to give an explanation to somebody. Пояснювати. Переказувати, to tell. Переказувати, to tell. Телефонувати, or a more colloquial way to say that is дзвонити. Телефонувати, дзвонити, to call. Відкриватися, to open up, to tell about your feelings, to show your emotions. Відкриватися, to tell a secret maybe. To open up. Освідчуватися. Освідчуватися. Освідчуватися can have two meanings. It means to tell somebody about your love, to confess that you have feelings to them, or to ask them to marry you. Освідчуватися. Дозволяти, to allow. Дозволяти. Наказувати, to order. Наказувати. Обіцяти, to promise. Обіцяти. Радити, to advise. Радити. Бажати, to wish. Бажати. For instance, учитель пояснив студентам цю тему. Учитель пояснив студентам цю тему. The teacher explained to the students this topic. In English, we would say the teacher explained this topic to the students. Okay? So, the teacher, вчитель, пояснив кому. The teacher explained to whom? To students. Студентам in dative case. Степан освідчився Оксані. Let's be more specific. Вчора Степан освідчився Оксані. Yesterday Степан proposed to Оксана. Освідчився кому? Оксані. Proposed to whom? To Оксана. Оксана in dative case because indirect object. Оксана пообіцяла Степану дати відповідь через кілька днів. Оксана пообіцяла Степану дати відповідь через кілька днів. Оксана promised to Степан to give an answer, to give her answer in a couple of days. Okay? So, Оксана promised to whom? Оксана пообіцяла кому? Степану. Степану in dative case because it is our indirect object for the verb пообіцяти, to promise. Дозволь дітям погратися ще трошки. Дозволь дітям погратися ще трошки. Allow children to play a little bit more, a little longer, okay? Дозволь кому? Allow to whom? Дітям, to children. Дітям in dative case because in direct object nothing new. Also in Ukrainian we use dative case in phrases that contain impersonal verbs. So what is an impersonal verb? What kind of verb we can consider impersonal? Also, we sort of can get a clue from the name, impersonal verb. So what sort of verb can be impersonal? So an impersonal verb describes an action or a state of something, a condition of something that is happening by itself, and our object, the person, doesn't matter. The action is either happening by itself or we don't really care about the person or something that is performing this action. The sort of impersonal verbs that we are interested in, the ones that will require dative case, will very often end in ся. For instance, an impersonal verb спиться comes from the verb to sleep, спати, спиться. Працюється comes from the verb to work, працювати. Працювати is an infinitive and працюється is impersonal form. Живеться comes from the verb жити, to live. Хочеться comes from the verb хотіти, to want. Okay? For instance, very often we would use an impersonal verb in Ukrainian to say that we can't really get to do something. It doesn't work for us. For instance, моєму брату не спиться. My brother can't get himself to sleep. My brother can't sleep. Okay? Моєму брату, dative case, не спиться. He can't sleep. Another instance. Уже пізно і дітям не хочеться робити домашнє завдання. It is too late, it is very late, and the children can't get themselves to make a homework. Okay? Кому дітям не хочеться. The children don't really want, can't get themselves to do something. Чому Оксані не живеться у новій квартирі? Чому Оксані не живеться у новій квартирі? Why doesn't Oksana feel like living in the new apartment? Кому Оксані не живеться? Не живеться, she can't live, she can't get herself to live, she doesn't feel good about living, she doesn't feel like living, okay? Yeah, I feel like actually this English structure, I or somebody else don't feel like doing something, or somebody doesn't feel like doing something, is translating this phrase from Ukrainian very accurately. Like, мені не спиться, I don't feel like sleeping. Мені не їсться, I don't feel like eating. Мені не хочеться, I don't really want. Because we can't say I don't feel like wanting, right? So I don't really want. Also, we use dative case with phrases like мені здається. Мені здається. Also, I feel like, or it seems to me that something is happening. Мені здається. Or Оксані здається. Оксана feels like, it seems to Oksana that. For instance, твоєму колезі не здається, що час уже завершувати презентацію. Твоєму колезі не здається, що час уже завершувати презентацію. Doesn't your colleague feel like ending the presentation already? Doesn't he feel like it's time to end the presentation right now? By now. Yeah, that sort of phrases that have impersonal verbs, and we have other impersonal phrases that doesn't necessarily have the verbs. Also phrases that express conditions. For instance, Oksana is cold. Oksana feels cold. Оксані холодно. The children feel cold. Дітям холодно. Okay? When we have the condition of somebody feeling hot, the temperature is too high, so they would say Степану спекотно. Спекотно means hot. So Stepan is hot. Stepan feels hot. Степану спекотно. Also байдуже means don't care, okay? So Степанові байдуже, Stepan doesn't care. Оксані байдуже, Oksana doesn't care. Дітям байдуже, the children don't care. The condition of being pleased. Приємно, okay? Приємно. For instance, я думаю, твоєму батькові буде приємно отримати такий подарунок. Я думаю, твоєму батькові буде приємно отримати такий подарунок. I think your father would be very pleased to receive a gift like that. Батькові приємно. Батькові in dative case, приємно is a state. Another condition, another state is when somebody is hurting. Somebody is in pain, okay? Боляче, боляче. So, for instance, to say that somebody is in pain, that Oksana is in pain, we would say Оксані боляче. For instance, it hurts Oksana to hear something like that. Оксані боляче таке чути. Also, pay attention. I recommend that you pay attention to the shift that is happening here, because the one who is performing the action in English, somebody who we consider a subject of an action, in Ukrainian, here in these phrases, becomes an indirect object, okay? The action is sort of being performed on them. For instance, in English we would say my friend is hurting, my friend is hurting, my friend is feeling pain, okay? Who, my friend, is a subject here, okay? But in Ukrainian, моїй подрузі боляче, моїй подрузі, кому dative case боляче. And here моїй подрузі is nothing but an indirect object, not a subject. Another instance, my sister can't sleep, my sister doesn't feel like sleeping, okay? Who, my sister, is a subject, okay? But in Ukrainian, моїй сестрі не спиться. Кому моїй сестрі? Моїй сестрі here is nothing else but an indirect object for this impersonal verb не спиться. And not a subject, okay? Another instance, the children are cold. Who? The children, okay? Subject in English, but in Ukrainian, дітям холодно. Дітям холодно. Кому? Дітям. Дітям here is an indirect object in dative case and not subject. Another instance when I recommend you using dative case in Ukrainian is when you are talking about permission, necessity, or possibility. For instance, пацієнтам потрібно підписати договір. Пацієнтам потрібно підписати договір. Again, this потрібно is very impersonal thing to say, but if we have to translate the sentence, we would say the patients need or must sign the contract. Another instance, учням не дозволено пропускати школу. Учням не дозволено пропускати школу. The students are not allowed to skip school, okay? Учням, кому учням in dative case? Не дозволено, are not allowed, okay? Here again the same situation. Дозволено is impersonal verb that says they are not allowed, but again, students here aren't a subject but an indirect object, something that we were talking in a previous unit about. We use dative case in Ukrainian also when we talk about age. For instance, моїй бабусі 80 років. Моїй бабусі 80 років. My grandmother is 80 years old. Кому? Моїй бабусі 80 років. Another instance, цій будівлі більше 100 років. Цій будівлі більше 100 років. This building is more than 100 years old. Чому цій будівлі in dative case? And another rule that we are going to take a look at in this video is telling us that we need to use dative case in Ukrainian with certain prepositions. They aren't really interesting, there aren't many of them, that aren't very common, but still I will name them, okay? Завдяки, 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 thanks to, назустріч, towards, назустріч, назустріч. Всупереч, contrary to, всупереч, всупереч. На противагу, на противагу. In contrast, as opposed to. For instance, завдяки твоїм зусиллям ми це зробили. Завдяки твоїм зусиллям ми це зробили. Thanks to your effort, we have done it. We made it happen. Завдяки чому? Завдяки твоїм зусиллям. Thanks to what? Thanks to your effort. Твоїм зусиллям in dative case. Also, we had this period of Ukrainian history, Orange Revolution, if you remember, if you heard about it. So the president who was elected after that has this program called 10 кроків назустріч людям, if I'm not mistaken. 10 кроків назустріч людям. 10 steps towards people, okay? Назустріч кому? Назустріч людям. Людям in dative case. So yeah, I will end my video here. I hope you enjoyed it. If you still have any questions, do not hesitate and leave them down below. If you have some interesting suggestions, questions, interesting topics that you see that I haven't covered yet and you think that I should, please let me know in the comments. And I will end my video, which I hope you enjoyed watching here. And yeah, obviously, if you did enjoy watching it, then don't forget to give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you didn't. Also, subscribe to my channel so that we can learn Ukrainian together. And I will see you in my next video, which is going to be on accusative case very soon, hopefully. Bye!